Namaskar and welcome, Geshe La. It's a great pleasure and honor and a blessing for me. I've known Geshe La for many years and learned so much from him. And I thought I would grab this opportunity. And, as still a beginner on this long journey, which calls for great patience. So I thought I'd share some of my uh, current questions and some of the more recent ones, and in the hope that I can learn from them, and in the process that they may add value to all our participants. Uh, Geshe-la, that there are so many types of meditation that we hear about these days. There's the shamatha, there's vipassana, there's art of living, and I suppose all of them have certain value and meaning. But from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, what are the practices, for example, you engage in every morning? That is sort of like the recommended daily ritual and engagement with some of the valuable ideas you gave us yesterday about the importance of meditating on impermanence, of meditating on compassion, and a whole range of issues. But how do you go about actually meditating on these? Do you just bring them to mind and hold them, or how does this work for you personally? And then I will try and see if we can take that a little further.
We'll start with this quotation from one of the Buddha's sutra, which is called Dharma Sangati Sutra. So in that sutra, the Buddha says the so-called phenomena is basically what your mind perceives. I think that summarizes everything very well. So that is to say that all the ups and downs that we experience in our life, all the troubles, pains, uncomfortable feelings that we experience in our life are primarily to do with one's own mind. Now, problem with the modern world is we try to get long-lasting happiness from, external facilities. And when there is a mental problem like depression or whatever, you also try to fix it by means of external facilities, including medicine. See? So that is the problem. So therefore, now because people have so many countless problems, so in order to address to these problems, many people who have some idea about meditation, they take a little bit from here, a little bit from there, and then they prepare it what we call as packages. Unfortunately, in many cases for selling, make money. In many cases, not necessarily money, they may have a good motivation also. So I'm not saying they're useless or anything like that, but as I mentioned earlier, I quoted this, that at the end of the day, how you perceive, how you react to things is dependent on your mental outlook. So therefore, all types of meditation can be comfortably summarized into this, age-old primary tradition of vipassana and shamatha. So this too basically is the source, the main meditation, which basically is saying that you are unable to achieve much in ordinary studies or in your Buddhist practice or anything you want to achieve in this world. You are not able to achieve much because you are not able to concentrate. So that's why concentration is now said to be the source of success both in war and peace. This is not from quotation, it's not from Buddhism, but it's quotation from, I think, Aristotle or somebody, or Plato or somebody, I don't remember very well. But this is absolutely true. Concentration is the source of success for everything. And concentration is also source of peace and happiness. And especially when you concentrate on the nature of your own mind, peace radiates from there, calmness originates from there. So therefore, then when you are able to concentrate on anything, you are able to enjoy that. When you enjoy, then there is not much opportunity or chance for to get depressed or unsatisfied and things like that. When your mind is not satisfied, not contented, then you keep on running. I want this, I want that, then there is no limit to that. So I'm jokingly telling these people, to people these days, that instead of changing your mental attitude to things, people think it's just fixing the outside that you are going to have that long-lasting happiness. So much so that people keep on changing their furniture all the time, keep on changing their car all the time, and of course changing their wife and husband, thinking that this wife didn't work, but the problem is with this wife, not me. So I'll marry a second one, and that surely wouldn't work. And that also doesn't work because you never changed. Then you change that also. So this is the lifestyle that we are living. Change, external paraphernalia, even when in terms of meditation, if you want to do a Zen meditation, then first thing comes into your mind is that you should have all the Zen furnitures around you. If you want to do a Tibetan Buddhist meditation, then you should have all the Tibetan flags all around you. I mean, that is not, you can have that, but that is not necessarily the main kind of thing. So the important thing is that not only in the spiritual practice, as I was saying, whatever you do, if you really concentrate, you're into it, you enjoy it. The best example is the small kids. The small kids, even if they get a broken toy, they concentrate on it. They play with it. They're happy. That is their world, you see. So they're happy. Now as we grow up and engage in more the so-called academic or intellectual studies, then we are not satisfied anything. We ask more questions. We have so much doubt, even when people come to help you, they might not be able to receive that help with a gratitude, but instead they might start thinking, why this person is helping me? You see? So therefore concentration is, really like the camera that you use. When you use the camera, you need to focus it to get a good picture, right? And similarly, take the example of the laser beams. When the rays of the laser beam are scattered, it doesn't have the capacity to cut through steel. But when the rays of the laser beam are focused, it can cut through steel. So like that. So the focus, concentration, enjoying what you are doing, and doing that with full concentration is the source of success. So concentration basically means pulling all your energy together to do something. And when you pull all your energy together and when you are not distracted, even in a short while, whether you do meditation, whether you do study, or whether you drink water, whatever you do, you are into it, you enjoy it, you relish it, you taste it. I think that's a very, very important technique that we need to do in today's world, because today's world, especially young people, as we all know, they are suffering from attention deficiency order, not able to pay attention. Not able to pay attention, number one, because the technique of paying attention and concentration is not taught in the school. And number two, there are so many distractions, especially the shiny gadgets, mobile phone and things like that. Right? So therefore, concentration is not possible. When you don't have concentration, you are not going to get anything. You can simply be distracted and think that this is my life, I'm enjoying it, go out, see this, see that, It's just like the movie that is moving so fast. You're watching a very fast movie. You're there, you're looking at it, but you have no idea what went through. It's like that. So concentration.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. But sometimes what happens is when we try, we sit down and we try to meditate, to collect our thoughts on an idea, you find that there is a huge rush of thoughts, and then we get carried away in the thought, and then we lose ourselves in that thought.
Yes.
And but we read about that in yoga you have concentration on a candle, or if you're using a japmala, then you have these aids to concentration that help you nurture it. How do we address this? I think that in some texts they call it the monkey mind that's running all over the place. So how do we manage to sort of control it and concentrate it?
So with this monkey mind, I have a story. I read this story somewhere. There was a highly learned Indian, scholar who really wanted to do proper meditation. Then on asking, where can I find that qualified master? Somebody said it is found in Tibet with a name, such and such name. So he goes to Tibet, meet that master, request him to teach the concentration and meditation. Then the Tibetan master said, there is really nothing much to teach. Just relax, enjoy, let us have some ordinary conversation. And then I'll say in 2-3 words something that you need to do. There's nothing much to teach. Then at the end of the conversation, the Tibetan teacher said, the only thing, there's nothing you have to do for meditation. The only thing you have to do is, when you go back, never think about monkey. That's all you have to do. So this Indian gentleman is as a scholar by himself. So he said, what is this? Why should such a great scholar like me thinking about monkey? So, but the interesting thing is when he returned back, all the only thing that kept coming in his mind was monkey. So that's the nature of mind. When the mind is forcibly asked to not to do something, it just comes in. That's one way. And then personally also I have this experience of meeting one Western nun. She said that, Geshe, I have been living in Dharamsala, studying for many years and trying to meditate. I'm not able to meditate. And in fact, when I try to do some meditation, when I meditate, and by meditating, before I meditated, I was a nice person. After I became a bad person. So, Rajiv, what you asked me is exactly like that. So she said, before I meditated, none of these bad things or distractions are coming in my mind. When I meditated, all these distractions and uninvited thoughts are coming. So I actually said, this is a good beginning. It was there before also. But before you did not pay any attention. You took it for granted. All this host of thoughts are to come and to go. Your mind, the doors and windows of your mind is open 24 hours. There's no security check, nothing, Everybody can come and go as they like. Good thoughts, bad thoughts, nobody is checking, So now when you meditate, at least you have started focusing on something. Then all this, invasions, host of thoughts that started coming, you have at least started noticing it. So now don't get discouraged. What you need to do is to continue making effort, saying, no, it's not you. I'm today meditating on the image of the Buddha, not on the dinner, things like that. You have to say. So this is now here you have to make repeated effort. It's not going to come like easily, right? So that's what you need to do. So then gradually, then hopefully you will be able to, if you get more trained, then the mind will. And the special quality of the mind is when you train it, it can be trained. But we are unable to, train it well because we don't make much effort. At the most we say that this morning I did 5 minutes meditation. Or I went to Dharamsala and participated in a meditation session for 5 days, 3 days. At the most, that is what we do in a year. Generally speaking. So then of course, it may be better than nothing, but you're not going to achieve much, right? Just as to make the physical muscles, you need to do how many times you have to go to gym and, cycling or whatever. You have to do this repeatedly for a long time. Then you are able to get these muscles, flexibility of the body. So similarly, in order to increase the muscle and flexibility of the mind, you need to repeatedly do it. That's number one. Number two, a question that is constantly asked me is not only in one point in meditation or any meditation, but people normally ask me, I want to do this practice on compassion, this practice on wisdom, things like that. I'm not able to do it. What is the formula of success? So I always tell them the formula to success, you need to like it. You need to delight in it, what you are doing, just like the small kids playing with the toy, as I said. So normally, you may be, engaging in meditation or any other practice because your teacher suggested you to do that, or your parents suggested you to do that. So, in the depth of your mind, you may be not so interested to do it. So there is like no full engagement into it. So in a sense, you are not liking it. So if you don't like it, you will not achieve much, and it will also be difficult. You see, if you ask to do 5 minutes meditation, you can immediately feel the pain in the knee, pain in the back, things like that. You see, right? But when you enjoy something, then if you play like football or learn some musical instrument or learn dancing, if you enjoy it, you do that for hours. You don't get tired. You may be perspiring. You see. So in terms of spiritual practice, because it is an inner thing, something that you don't see directly. So because of that, you are not able to enjoy it. And also, unfortunately, we have this habit of measuring everything in terms of material success. And when you engage in such a spiritual practice, you don't see any immediate material benefit, right? Long term, there's really, really big benefit. I can talk about it later on also. But so there's the problem. There's the problem. So it is really, really important to enjoy what you're doing, like what you're doing, and if possible, by seeing the long-term benefit of it. Because, believe it or not, we all confront, problems, difficulties, ups and downs in life. And the best solution is found within, not outside. Because what is outside of you, try as much as you can, you will not be able to change it. Or even if you are able to change it a little bit, maybe, but it will not be at your disposal all the time because it is outside of you. For example, in front of your house, if there is a crooked tree and you want that tree straight, okay? So keep complaining. Why the hell this tree is crooked? It should be straight. Keep on complaining. Make your life miserable. But the tree will never become straight. Like that. And especially, and then also with your family members, your husband, wife, Your husband is not there to dance at your tunes. Your wife is not there to do whatever you comment, you see. Your husband and wife also, another person who also want happiness, who also don't want suffering, who also has emotions, who also wants happiness. So respect that. Don't try to control others. So the solution is, at the end of the day, solution will be found within, not so much from outside.
Geshe, can there be we see many Tibetan lamas and many Tibetans with prayer beads around their wrist, and they're obviously using their prayer beads as would you say some kind of aid to concentration? I mean, are there or in some forms of vipassana, you're asked to concentrate on the breath just below the nose. So, are there sort of some physical things that can help focus the mind, or an object of focus, physical object of focus, or tactile with a thing or a mantra, as opposed to just trying to watch the mind and direct it towards wholesome thoughts?
Yeah, even if you focus on an external object, the primary purpose is to make sure that the mind is able to concentrate. So object, it can be external object like an image, or it can be your mind. But the purpose is concentration. Now here also, I'm glad that you asked this question, because here also, for example, when you choose the image of a Buddha for your concentration, okay, then the process is not to see that Buddha's image as an image. You need to see that as a living person. So therefore, it is normally recommended that the Buddha's image that you concentrate should not be considered as a huge image which is beyond the grasp of your eye or things like that. And it should also not be too small, but a little bit small and also a little bit heavy. It should not be too light so that one blow of wind carries it away, not like a feather, you see. So this is, and then also the image is radiating and with smiles on the face, things like that. So this the radiation that you visualize help you remove your mental darkness, mental dullness. If there is mental darkness and dullness, then again sinking will start and you will fall into sleep, right? So therefore, when you concentrate on any object, two things must be there: clarity and stability. Two things. You need to make sure this one: clarity and stability. Clarity means the object on which you are meditating should be clear to your mind. And secondly, stability means the mind should be able to stay stably on the chosen object. Now, this is very crucial and very, very important. Then the obstruction to this achievement of clarity and stability is that when you start meditating, either it will get excited and distracted, and you may be sitting there on your meditation seat, but your mind is thinking about the picnic that you had last night. So your mind is actually sinking, excited and it's dancing. Okay. So when such as a meditator, you need to know whether your mind is excited or your mind is sinking. Okay. If you find your mind is excited and wandering around, then you need to think about something, some topics that has a sobering effect on your mind. You need to tell your mind, boy, don't get too excited. You are impermanent. It is not sure when you are going to die. So why you are so excited? So think about something that has a sobering effect on the mind and call the mind back on the object. Now, when you do this, then again the other obstruction happens. There is mind starts sinking, lethargy, comes there, laziness comes there, mind starts sinking to such extent. Sometimes you even go to sleep. This is happening everywhere. For example, in big cities now in the West, the so-called meditation and mindfulness practice is so famous. In whatever form they are doing, it is very famous, right? So therefore, people go to the office or their work and they work very hard in the whole day. And then in the evening, they go to a Buddhist center and sit there, supposed to be doing meditation, and then they fall into sleep. And then they say, after they get up from the sleep, then they say, wow, the meditation was so relaxing. My dear friend, you are not meditating. You are sleeping. You have been working in the day very hard. You are tired. You slept. It's relaxing, but that's not meditation. So there is this possibilities of the mind becoming dull and then start sinking. And that is also very risky, because if you pick up this habit of, letting your mind become dull and sink, thinking that you are doing meditation, if you continue this kind of meditation for a long time, then the end result is you will become a very insensitive person. We do see some people who are supposed to have been practicing, any kind of spiritual practice, Buddhism, whatever. But these people are very, very insensitive to other people's suffering, to other people's problem. They don't care, you see. Very insensitive. Because your mind is dull. Now, if you do the meditation properly, like I think His Holiness the Dalai Lama can be a very good example here. He's now 88. But still you can see his mind is so sharp, very sensitive to other people's needs and problems, you see. So that's the difference. So therefore, we need to make sure, as a meditator, you need to make sure that the mind is not getting excited or the mind is not sinking. If the mind is sinking, then you need to stop right there. Get up, take a cup of coffee or 5 minutes walk, sprinkle water on your face, or think something about think about something that will bring happiness in your mind. For example, that I'm so lucky. I'm not born as a dog or a cow or any other animal. I'm born as a human being with this great capacity to think and to have dialogue and so forth. So think about something that will cheer up your mind. Right? So you need to balance these two things and make sure that the mind is not sinking or get excited and is able to stay clearly and stably on the chosen object. Yeah.
Yes, what about, we also tend to associate mantras, Om Mani Padme Hum, or, mantras with Tibetan Buddhism and practice. So can that be an aid, because it's one more sense, both verbal and you visualize the deity as an aid in meditation? How does that work?
Yeah, the recitation of mantra in general, especially in the tantra practice, recitation of mantra is highly, highly recommended. But then again, it depends on the practitioner. In many cases, the ordinary Tibetans, many of them are reciting mantra because it has become almost like a traditional practice, you know. So there are people who are not very learned, they pick up their tradition habit, so they keep on reciting, but may have no idea what they are reciting. So here in this case, analytical meditation and concentrated meditation both are necessary. For example, if you are chanting the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, you need to think about the meaning. What does this word Om means? Similarly, all the 6 syllables, you need to know their meaning. Think about it. That is concentration. If the mind is not, the meaning is not so clear, then ask questions. That is analytical meditation. So it is important. But otherwise, as Shantideva says, in his Bodhisattva way of life, that means if you recite a mantra or study a text or whatever, you do it with distraction, then the Buddha said this is meaningless. See, it's like, a parrot, repeating some formulas taught by the owner. So it may be better than nothing. It will probably help you stop gossiping. But apart from that, you are not going to achieve much. So therefore, as I said right in the beginning, it's not only chanting mantra or any spiritual practice. Whatever work you are doing, if you are into that work, think about it, concentrate on it, automatically there will be delight, joy, peace. And then, of course, through this concentration analysis, when you really precisely know the meaning, the purpose of what you are doing, they will be full of joy. Yes, now I know the meaning. Yes, I accomplished this work. That's not there in our ordinary life. We do whatever we do it half-hearted, attempt. So therefore, we neither enjoy it nor we are able to accomplish much.
Geshe, you once said that many of these practices that you just described can be like anesthetics, that they just dull the mind, and then we feel that we are relaxed and something is happening. But it is, as you have been saying, it is the ultimate imperative is to plant seeds and ideas that we are able to familiarize our minds so that they become, our understanding goes to realization, and then it affects our reflex responses. But you've also urged that this requires patience. And I just wanted to share a small anecdote and then hand over the floor to you, that, after several years of trying to practice and making many of the mistakes that you're talking about, and I still haven't got it right. So I once said to His Holiness, Your Holiness, I've been trying to do this, but nothing has happened. And so he said, what's the hurry? It takes eons of lifetimes. So I said, well, if I had known that when I had started, it would be quite discouraging. I know he was sort of making a joke, but I'm just going to use this opportunity to also request you, not in this session, but at some time, to help us with a set of teachings on the Lamrim. Because in a sense, it gives us a structured set of materials and ideas to focus on in our meditations. So, I will step back with that request for some later date, or maybe when you do a session in Delhi, because I've been feeling that would be a great value to our Sangha and our community. And if you could just, as I step out and back, just help us reflect, so that it in a sense strengthens our motivation in terms of the value that, that meditation and training the mind can bring to our lives. As you have said, and His Holiness has said, that we spend thousands of hours training ourselves to be beautiful or to do our careers and professions, but we don't really spend any time, significant time that is, in training our minds, which are the basis of our experience. So if you could just help us with the motivation as to the real benefits that we can get, and to some degree perhaps also reflect on this whole idea now of neuroplasticity, that the brain can be changed. So it's not just you do it and something magical happens, but it's concrete and tangible. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to share the screen with you, and it's over to you.
So of course I will be happy to have a Lamrim session as we discuss maybe in the winter physically in Delhi. I think that is a very good topic that you have suggested, because if you want to go to Delhi, New Delhi, I mean, you can these days you can ask a tourist agent and book the flight or book your cab and have your pilot and driver, and they will you close your eye and they will take you there. But this is a little bit risky. You should have some idea about the route. You see, for especially if you're going by road, then what kind of cities you need to pass through? Where is the resting place? Where will you have your lunch? Things like that. If you are familiar with all these situations, your journey will be much more comfortable and successful. And then finally you will, without any problem, reach your destination, New Delhi, right? Where the foundation for universal responsibility is there, right? so that is, of course, very, very important. So therefore, stages of the path, Lamrim. And in Buddhist texts, we have very interesting words like stages of the path, stages of meditation. These masters use this word, stages of the spiritual path, stages of meditation. By using this word stages, they are saying that it is in accordance with the law of nature, that everything has to develop stage by stage. There is, in today's world, we talk about, instant coffee, push button enlightenment, automatic and everything. But actually, if you look at the law of nature, everything has to, if you really want to achieve success, it has to go stage by stage. And this is especially true in terms of your spiritual development. There is no push button enlightenment. No one can help you unless you do it. In the case of external construction, for example, if I'm constructing, say, 4-story building, then I finish constructing the first 2-story, then I get very busy. Then I ask some of my friends, I'm very busy, I'm going somewhere. So can you please look after constructing the 3rd floor and 4th floor and so forth? They will do it. But in terms of inner achievement, I cannot say I've been meditating on compassion for the last 3 years. I've reached this level. Now I'm very busy. Please continue for me. You can't do that, right? So it is all yours. You need to do that. Now, when it comes to such a spiritual, gradual development, you need to honestly, sincerely practice it. The most important thing is you understand what you're going to practice. Therefore, study is so important. His Holiness is repeatedly saying, study, have the knowledge, hear the teaching, think about it, then meditate. So it's not an easy process. It's a very delightful journey, but not easy process. But you have to do it. Then there is a hope. For example, His Holiness now. Rajiv, you picked up, this question of having the need to have patience and so forth. Very true. You need to have patience. And then also, as I said, don't measure your spiritual success in terms of your material influence. If you want to measure your spiritual success, compare your state of mind today comparing to 10 years back. You may be able to see it. For example, I had once, a Western friend who came to see me, and she said, Geshe, I've been studying here at Dharamsala for many, many years. I don't see any spiritual progress. So what should I do? I said, go back to your country. That was a little bit rude, to start with. So I don't know what she felt, but it's clear she went back. And after some months, she came to see me. And she said, Geshe, thank you. I said, for what? She said, last time when I came to, see you and asked this question, you said, go back to your country. I didn't understand. So I went, anyway, I was going back to my country, not because you said. I was going back to my country. And once back in my country, I was able to see how much progress I made. I was able to see other people doing many stupid, meaningless things. And I was able to clearly say why people are doing such stupid things. You see? So you will notice it if you compare it properly. But you can't see it like construction of a house, which you can see day by day, you know, with the piles of bricks or whatever. You can see the construction rising higher and higher. You can't see it because it is a non-physical thing, right? But there are the ways of measuring it. For example, in my case, for example, I never proclaim that I'm a great spiritual practitioner, anything like that. Of course not. But I did study for a long, many, many years, and fortunate to receive many of His Holiness teachings. And these days also, I mean, it may not necessarily be a very good thing, but I have this habit of reading books all the time, including, of course, Buddhist text. So because of that, I can clearly see when I'm making a big mistake, I'm able to see it. Then I'm able to, in many cases, I'm able to refrain from it. So that is success. So therefore, you should never think that you are not achieving anything. You are achieving much. Once, I tell you this story. Once I was working in the Tibet house in New Delhi. So there was a gentleman, Indian gentleman, who was working in the, Library of Congress. So maybe because of his job, he wanted to study Buddhism a little bit. And he came to me and said, Geshe, is it possible for you to spare some time and teach me a little bit in the evening? I said, I can do that only after I finish my office, that is after 5. So he used to come. So two of us used to sit in this little lawn outside the Tibet house, So we used to talk. I don't remember what I was talking. I was supposed to be teaching Buddhism and things like that. So one day he said, Geshe, you are a monk. You've been practicing Buddhism for a number of years. You must, by now, you must have a very special realization. Can you share me this realization? I mean, initially I was dumbfounded, you see, because again we are measuring, in terms of something that is physical. For example, he may be expecting that I'm able to fly or open a third eye, you see. Then I said, if you're expecting something like, this physical dexterities, like being able to fly, open a third eye, things like that, then I have nothing. But this doesn't mean I don't have any success. Now I'm telling you, when I tell you this, you will also realize how much improvement, spiritual improvement you have made. For example, all of you who are listening to this, do you kill other human beings? No. Do you steal? In most of the cases, I would say no. Engage in sexual misconduct? No. Engage in robbery? No. That is called spiritual realization. Imagine if this world is full of people who never kills, who never steals, we are already kind of actualized heaven, nirvana already, you see. So that was my answer. So it's important. Normally in most of the Buddhist texts, they talk about, refrain from, doing this negative emotion, that negative act, things like that. But I read one Buddhist text where it says, when we talk about, the immense presence of negative emotions and so forth, this does not mean that we are just an embodiment of negativities and we have no positive quality at all. No, we also have many good qualities. So these days, it is really important to inspire people by saying, look, you have all these great qualities. So in some cases, you need to refine these good qualities a little bit, you see. So we all have this. So it's important to also realize that you have the Buddha nature, you made repeated effort, you practice patience, and then now at least you know so many things. And then also I would like to tell you that in many cases, the kind of failure that we experience is because we are not able to practice. But we already, I'm 100% sure that we already know so many things. Not to kill, not to steal, not to engage in corruption, all these things we know. So unfortunately, because of this die-hard, habit, this addiction, I call it addiction to fleeting pleasures, which then, as a consequence, you get these negative experiences. anger, jealousy, and so forth. Right? Right? So therefore, if we make some effort to practice what we know, meditation basically means you become what you repeatedly do. That is meditation. You become what you repeatedly do. So far, we have been repeatedly more, doing the negative things, anger, jealousy. So it's very easy for us. If somebody says anything negative, we will immediately flare out because we have been meditating on that. We are habituated with that. And therefore, Tsongkhapa in his book, Lamrim Chemo, The Great Stages of the Path, he says, you are controlled by your mind. Your mind is predominantly controlled by negative emotions. Therefore, you are suffering. Therefore, you need meditation. That means now you should meditate, means get your mind habituated with virtuous qualities, positive emotions. That's the method to reduce and end your suffering. So it's really not so much about talking. It's all doing. We already, as I said, we already know what I should do, what I should not do. So all those things that you thought I should do it now. Practice. That is the source of success, as I mentioned yesterday. There's not only in spiritual practice, in our daily life. For example, if you want to improve your health, you see, for example, if you have high blood pressure, then the doctors recommend you do exercise, don't use salt. How many of us are able to do that? We are not able to do that. We are not able to do exercise. And then we will also say, oh, without salt, there is no taste in the food. So a little bit, thoda chalega. I once read about this gentleman. For the sake of his health, he used to go to the gym and do very strenuous exercise for 2 hours. 2 hours, perspiring, sweating. Then on his way back, there is a cafeteria. So on the way, he thinks, since I worked so hard for 2 hours, I need to treat myself. Then again, he takes a cup of coffee or chocolate or whatever, you see. So there is no progress, no development. Whether it's your physical health or mental health, you need to have some kind of integrity, some kind of commitment. Then only you can see the benefit result. All right. So now we will continue with the question answers. If there are questions from the audience.
Thank you very much, Geshe. We have received a few questions from our listeners. Geshe, one of the questions is, it says, Geshe, how do we overcome a loss through meditation? Is there a meditation on death? And this has been asked by somebody who lost her baby in the womb at 9 months. And she says that she still feels a lot of grief, and she feels like the grief has become and the loss has become a part of her every day. So she's asking, is there a way to overcome a loss through meditation, Geshe?
Meditation basically means thinking. So you can definitely overcome. Because what the Buddha was basically teaching was, don't do those stupid things which is of no benefit. Do those things which is of benefit. That's basically what the Buddha is saying. So now, for example, in the case of the loss of the child, if you're grieving and you're feeling sorry continuously, day after day, if that really helps the child come back, then do that. But that will never happen. And instead, you will ruin your health. There is also likelihood that you will also lose your job. If your mental health declines, you see, your physical health will decline, then you will lose your job and so many problems. That's not what the child wants if the child is alive. Right? So these are useless things. I understand as an ordinary person, you have all this sense of loss. I fully appreciate and understand. But that's not the solution, you see. That's not the solution. So all this is, the feeling of loss and feeling of gain, all this is there. If you read this chapter, in Shantideva's wisdom chapter, around the end of this wisdom chapter, there is a stanza which talks about the eight worldly concerns, loss and gain and, fame and, things like that. So there Shantideva says, if you understand the meaning of shunyata, emptiness properly, there is nothing to gain, nothing to lose. Everything is like a dream. In your dream, if you're having a sound sleep and sound dream, then in that dream, if you get a beautiful dream of winning 1 billion, not dollar, euros. Euro is a little bit better, right? So if you win 1 billion, you get a dream of winning $1 billion. When you're dreaming, yes, you're enjoying. Oh, I'm rich overnight. You see, I have $1 billion. Because you're sleeping, you're dreaming. But when you wake up, it's not even one single dollar. But will you feel sad that there's not even a single dollar when you wake up? No, you will not feel sad because that was when I was sleeping and dreaming. So it's okay. That was wrong. Now I'm awake. Now I'm up to the reality. So like that, those of us who have no understanding of shunyata, no understanding of the ultimate reality, so we are all dreaming. The so-called waking life is another form of dreaming, where life is full of illusions, and we chase the illusions, thinking that this will give me long-lasting happiness, this will give me long-lasting satisfaction. And when that object goes away, then you feel, you're shattered. You feel, I can't live with this one, without this one. No. So it's all question of understanding everything in the right perspective. So everything, it's really like dream. If you have difficulty believing me, then think about, for example, if you are a young man of 30 years old, think about the drama that you played in the past 30 years of your life. Think about it. Recollect it today. If you make a movie out of it, it's a long movie, 30 years movie. But today, if you reflect back, it is equal to the dream that you had last night. There's nothing. Shantideva says, whatever you have enjoyed, it just becomes a memory. Whatever has gone past, of course, you will not see. And even in this Rishik Sunsi Dinyela, Zatamji, Tunji, Tigwan Nasojan, Zawanamja Mejuchi, Mizanamja Mebarchu, Daja Mebarchu, Tigintamje Mebarchu. That's what Shantideva says. He says, even in this very lifetime, we do so many negative things for the sake of your friends, relatives, so many negative things in relation to the enemies. But the so-called friends will also go. The so-called enemies will also go. But all the negative deeds that you have done for their sake, in relation to them, that will stay with you. You have already made an imprint, negative imprint on your mind. So you will have to face the consequences of this with negative things. So therefore, don't commit any negative action, even for the sake of your near and dear ones. Right? So that's the thing. Because nobody can share your suffering at the end of the day. Right? So therefore, these days I've been telling people that you should be so clever, so hardworking, that you should be able to take care of yourself. In this life, for many lives to come, you have to have this master plan so that you are able to take long-term plan, so that you are able to take care of this life and for the future lives. Those who are not Buddhists may not talk about future lives, but according to Buddhism, there is a larger plan. There is a plan for many lives to come. This is not stupid, because when you encounter the so-called death, it is the death of the body. There is no death to the mind. The mind continues carrying with it the positive imprints or negative imprints. And then again, when it encounters different circumstances, different factors, then the imprints get activated, positive or negative. Then you experience the fruit. It is really like what you have recorded on a cassette. If you have recorded music, Then after that, you record people fighting and shouting. And having recorded, you try to see what you've recorded with your naked eye. You will not be able to see anything. That doesn't mean it is not there. If you want to prove, then you put it again in the cassette and push the play button. When you push the play button, you will hear what you have recorded. First, you will hear the beautiful song. You will like it. You will enjoy it. You're happy. Second, you will hear the fighting and shouting and crying. You will feel miserable. It's exactly like that. So the mind will continue. Now, if you have difficulty believing in it, then I'll give you yet another example. For example, tonight when you go to bed, I'm not saying you are going to die, but when you go to bed, tonight when you go to bed, it's quite similar to death. Because sleeping means when you withdraw all your senses. Your eye, when you're in deep sleep state, your eye don't see anything, your ear can't hear anything. Even if somebody fart in front of you, you will not hear the smell, things like that, right? So you withdraw all your senses. So it's very similar to death. But withdrawing that senses doesn't mean that you are completely gone. Because your mind, in fact, when you withdraw your senses, the mind, in fact, becomes more active. You may be sleeping, even snoring on your bed, but your mind may be shopping in New York, or at least in New Delhi. So that means that shows the mind capacity to get completely separated from the body. Right? So there are so many indications there. Then we can also take another example, like, for example, this water said to be, quite pure and clean. With my naked eye, can't see anything. But with a, powerful microscope, if I look at it, there may be some very, very tiny insects. They don't have a brain like us. They don't have a complex physical body like us. But that doesn't mean they are not there. So that's why in Buddhism we talk about desire realm, formless realm. It's possible, a realm of spirits, right? Okay, next question.
Thank you, Geshe-la. The next question is from one of our listeners who says that Geshe-la, in today's world with so much cutthroat competition, if one tries to be kind and compassionate and considerate, it is often ridiculed, and that person is treated as being weak or taken advantage of. And so he asks that, Geshe-la, how do we make ourselves believe that we are doing the right thing by being compassionate and kind?
So that's why in Buddhism we say that the compassion must be cultivated based on wisdom, based on brain thinking. Why should you develop this compassion? You're reasoning it out that other person is also suffering like me. They also need help. But that doesn't mean that you become a stupid person. That doesn't mean you should become a doormat. Right? So compassion doesn't mean you should become weak. Compassion actually means being tough. I consider His Holiness very tough. You see, tough not in the sense of using machine guns and killing people. Many people, unfortunately, toughness means, killing other people and brandishing the weapons and things like that. No. Toughness means inner toughness. One thing that I learned, really, I think one thing that I learned is when I worked in His Holiness's office. I was perhaps the only monk who is in the office who spoke a little bit of English. So whenever, different people come to His Holiness office, foreigners, not everybody is able to see His Holiness. So the office throws me down saying that, Geshe-la, you go and see and talk to these people. So I meet so many people, so many different strange people, nice people, wicked people, sane people, insane people, so many things I meet. So there I learned you should be compassionate but tough. That's important, right? Compassionate doesn't mean that you also submit to unreasonable, dictates of other people, right? You should be tough to challenge the wrongdoers. But inside, if your mind is not disturbed, compassionate, calm, you can be very tough. If your mind is disturbed, you think you are tough by shouting, and brandishing your weapon or, flexing your muscles, whatever. But actually, you're very weak. Else, and when you develop any of these negative emotions, you lose your stability. You become very weak. Very weak. Right? So therefore, even if you want to say something, proper, you will not be able to say that proper if you are angry. Anything that comes in your mind, all the nasty words will just come one after another from your mouth. And the person who is calm and not angry, he will only say the things that he should say, not everything that comes in his mind. So because of that, even if you have to go to a court, you will be the winner. Or जिसने बकवास किया, he will be the loser. ठीक है ना? So calmness is very, very source of strength. Non-violence, therefore it's very important that non-violence is a sign of strength, not sign of weakness. Right? So normally when two people fight, the one person who loses his reason quickly, that person starts then jumping on the other person. Because he has no reason now. The only thing he can do is use the physical force. Like the meeting of the tigers and lions. The tigers and lions cannot discuss, cannot have dialogue to solve a problem. So the only thing that is remaining is use your physical force. But we are not tigers and lions. We are human beings who have this amazing speech. This speech itself is for discussing things, for having dialogue, for having negotiation. But we don't do that. That's why we become like an animal. And it's understandable because our origin was animal. But now we are human being, So we need to live like a human being. Okay, next question.
Thank you, Geshe. The next question is from one of our listeners who says that, Geshe, in our old age and as we start aging, how should we focus our mind at our own transition into death peacefully while we feel motivated to promote our own development as well as benefit all others to our best ability?
Old age. These days, many people don't use the word old age. They use the other word like I'm 70 years young, I'm 90 years young. Age is a number. Many people say that may be true, not may be true. But what is important for you is to think, as I said earlier, number one, there is death to the body, not death to the mind. Second, as Rajiv earlier, mentioned, quoting the scientific finding of neuroplasticity, you see, according to the classical physics, they used to talk about dementia. That means when you grow older, then the wiring in the brain and things like will get hardened, and then you will suffer from the old age disease, which is called dementia, and there's no way to correct it. But now science is saying neuroplasticity. That means however old you think you are, still if you make an effort and study things and learn things, your mind will become calmer and calmer. And I had the privilege of seeing His Holiness the Dalai Lama's tutors. I had the privilege of meeting them when they were in their, late 70s or things like that. They were so calm, so peaceful. Their faces are radiating with like light and kindness and compassion, like His Holiness, as you are seeing. You see, His Holiness is, of course, always a very good example. Now he's 88, he doesn't look like 88. So we all have the same capacity. We all have the same capacity. Then also old age, the one who is, aged doesn't mean that he's decrepit. Aged means he is really the embodiment of experiences. You have learned so much in your life. So share that to the younger generation. And in your own case, of course, continuously practice. Because now, because of your age, on the one hand, you are a little bit aged, but on the other hand, you have time. This morning, I tried to do a little bit of yoga exercise. So the yoga teacher was saying बुरा पे एक क्या बोलते हैं अनुभव का पुतली है. That means old age is really embodiment of experiences, right? So you now know very clearly what is right, what is wrong, what you should be doing, what you should not be doing. You are very clear. And in fact, when you're on your deathbed, it becomes very clear because you cannot cheat nature, right? So therefore, now it's so clear to you based on your personal experience. So now you stick to that positive practices and rejoice that you lived so long. There are so many who die just in the womb of the mother. Some who die when they're just able to crawl. Some die when they're just 6 years old, 7 years old. Some die when they're at the height of their success and glory, like 40 years or 50 years. So many famous rich people, actors and actresses. I know so many of them, right? So you lived so long, you're so lucky. So be happy and share your good experiences with others and, continue to practice on those, good things on which you have firm conviction. And then, as I said, at the end of the day, the death is death of the body. There's no death through the mind. So no need to, feel sorry for that. So therefore, we should talk about old age death frequently. In many countries, especially in more developed countries, the word death is a taboo subject, you see. And even in some Buddhist countries, we also, many people who they fear talking about death. If I say death, why you're saying death, don't talk about it. India में भी बोलता है ना, ऐसे अशुभ बात आप क्यों कर रहा है? Why you're saying such unfortunate words, This is not unfortunate, this is reality. And then especially in today's modern world, people don't talk about death. And somebody dies, the parents, the relatives also hardly able to see it because it is whisked away in the hospital. And then finally it is, taken to the graveyard. And then the graveyard is very beautifully, nicely decorated, showing that you still have so much clinging. What is the use? You see, what will be beneficial to that person is what he or she has done in their life. Now it's a dead body. It's just like the earth and the stone. इसको decorate करके क्या करेंगे आप? You do all these stupid things because of your, craving. But I have no right to say don't do it because it may be your culture, your habit. If you feel happy, of course you can do it. But from this point of view, there is not much point. What is important is when you are alive, do those good things so that you don't have to regret. Okay?
Gisela, we have 2 more questions. One of our listeners is asking that, Gisela, very often we focus a lot of our time and energy on reading, studying, and deepening our intellectual understanding of concepts like impermanence, true nature of reality, emptiness, etc. However, only an intellectual understanding does not necessarily help to remove afflictive emotions, especially when we face challenges in everyday lives. Geshe-la, can you suggest ways in which we can make a practical shift to understand such complex ideas, especially in everyday lives?
Yeah. So it's not what you eat, but what you digest that makes you healthy. So it's similarly, it's not what you read, but what you learn that makes you learn it, right? And this is a very good question because I've been, talking about the importance of practice. So I read somewhere the differences between information, knowledge, and wisdom. Okay, and I read this beautiful explanation there, and it says information is just like reading all the books about how to build a ship. So that information may be good because okay, this can be built like this can be built like this, but you don't know how to build it, so it's not much benefit. Knowledge will help you to actually build a ship. That's a big progress, right? But wisdom comes. It's the wisdom that makes sure the ship does not sink in the ocean. Beautiful explanation, right? So it is through wisdom, based on your personal practice and experience, that will help your life not to sink, not to suffer, right? So therefore, in Buddhism, we talk about the three processes of learning: listening, thinking, and meditation. Again, I got a very beautiful example in one of the mind training, text. We do talk about listening, thinking, and meditation in almost all the Buddhist scriptures, but that beautiful explanation I saw only in one book, one text, old text, mind training text, where it says, if you are thirsty, if you're very thirsty, but have no idea where water is available, then you need to ask somebody where water is available. And that somebody says, water is available 2 kilometers from here in a place called Meglotganj, right? So that's useful, right? Because you're thirsty, you're looking for water. You have no idea where water is available. But now at least you know it is available in Meglotganj. But is this enough to quench your thirst? Now I know where water is available. Thank you. I'm not thirsty anymore. Will you say something like that? No. This was useful, but you need to now walk 2 kilometers. Take a taxi or walk 2 kilometers. So it is like not only listening but thinking is like walking 2 kilometers to reach to Meglotganj and actually reach at the place where water is available. That's a big progress. Through thinking, you're able to really precisely understand the meaning. You are able to develop the conviction. Yes, this is the meaning of compassion. Yes, this is the meaning of wisdom, things like that, right? But no stupid person will, just go to the water and then say, I walked 2 kilometers, I reached near the water. Thank you, my thirst is gone, right? It's a big progress near the water. It's readily available now. You need to just bend down and drink it, things like that. But if you don't do it, you came very close, but your thirst will not go. So what the third thing is, you need to bow down, use your hand or cup or any other pot that you have, then drink the water. It's only by drinking the water that your thirst will go away. Right? So meditation, that's why listening, thinking, and meditation. Meditation means not talking about compassion. Okay? Not just developing conviction about the compassion, the 3 types of compassion or whatever, but actually cultivating that compassion within yourself. You yourself become a compassionate person. Then there will be, amazing transformation in your life, amazing capacity to help others. Right? So most of the time we are not able to help much others in spite of so much talking, because we don't have the genuine compassion to help others. We are just talking. Right? So not just information, knowledge, not just knowledge, but wisdom. And especially in the case of information, much of the information that we get today is junk information. And the Buddha said, don't make your mind or head a junk yard. Your head is not a dustbin. I'm not exaggerating it. We have what we call as junk mail, right? So why you keep on looking at those junk mails? Right? So try to get the right information, then right knowledge, and then wisdom through practice. Okay? Yeah, last question.
Geshe, actually, there are 2 questions. I'm wondering if you have the time.
Never ending. I'm joking.
Geshe, one question is very generic. A lot of people are asking if you can suggest any reading material or any books to understand meditation better.
Well, there is one book written by Venerable Nun, Tibetan Children. I don't remember the title. Tibetan Children is her name. She's quite recently published a book. I have it somewhere. I don't remember the name. It's on meditation. So she's very knowledgeable. So I'm sure she has, compiled all the important related topics on meditation. I think you should read that. And then there is also a book by His Holiness the Dalai Lama called Cultivating Daily Meditation, which basically, covers the most important topics in Buddhism, which is available in the library also, in my institute also. Yeah. So there may be many books. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Geshe La. And the last question is a more personal question in some ways. One of our listeners has written that Geshe La, the Tibetans living in exile in India and across the world for so many decades are a symbol of compassion and hope for us globally. And he goes on to ask that, Geshe La, what inspires hope in you? What are your sources of hope?
There's no other choice. At the end of the day, you have to have hope. If you have no hope, not necessarily just the Tibetan refugees, but whoever, if you don't have the hope, how are you going to survive? There's no guarantee. You don't have to have guarantee that the sun will rise tomorrow, right? But you have to have hope that the sun will rise tomorrow, right? And this kind of inner human qualities like hope, patience, determination, these are very, very crucial in one's life. When you have hope, when you have this aspiration to do something, it will just, I would say, boost up your immune system or whatever, If you lose your enthusiasm and courage, the other day I said, you are the only true original copy in this world. So that means all of you have very special capacity. Whatever it is, you have the capacity to do it. So don't think that you're inferior to anybody. Your talent may be different. Talent doesn't have to be same. You have a different talent. So use that talent. You don't have to be similar like everybody else. It's not important. Okay, you should be original. Original is more important than duplicate. Okay. Okay, thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much, Geshe La. I don't know how we can ever thank you enough for your precious time and for your wisdom. So thank you very much, Geshe La, on behalf of the foundation. And also a very big thank you to everyone who's joined us for today's session and continue to stay on till the very end with us. Sharing this space and this community truly makes this experience so special and meaningful for us. So thank you very much. We really hope you will join us for tomorrow's session, the 14th of September, which is our last session in this series with Geshe Lhakdor. So thank you, deep gratitude to you, Geshe La, to everyone for joining us, and have a good night. Thank you, Geshe La.
Thank you.